grown and this town has grown, the regulated uses, those uses that are not seen as nice, have been concentrated on the south side.
You know, it's not like, well, why don't you move out of this area? This is where I grew up. This is my community. I don't want to just move out and leave everybody here suffering. I think we need to stay here and work on this problem, not leave.
The concentration of landfills, okay, south side. Concentrated of permitted hazardous uses, in regulated industries, south side. TCE contamination, south side. Brush Wellman, south side. And the legacy goes on.
Brush Wellman has testified at a hearing on their air pollution permit that beryllium is safe. It's found in potatoes and it's found in nature and all that sort of thing. And yes, beryllium is found in lots of things in nature, but the beryllium in nature is locked up chemically. So it's not dangerous. When it's isolated into beryllium oxide, or put into beryllium copper, where the beryllium is the pure form, it's extremely dangerous.
Very, very small amounts of dust produced in the process of grinding, cutting, and machining beryllium is sufficient to start this irreversible process. Basically what happens is that scar formation occurs, the fragile membranes that are involved in allowing gases to exchange, oxygen to get into the blood, carbon dioxide to get out of the blood, is interfered with. And a person over a period of years suffering from this disease, in essence, slowly suffocates to death.
There was an OSHA inspection in Elmore not but a year ago where Brush Wellman was cited for overexposing its workers to beryllium who weren't wearing respirators. They were cited for sending beryllium outside of the plant without warning labels. They were cited for not labeling things inside the facility, hazardous materials. This is an ongoing problem with Brush Wellman. We just did some swipe testing in Elmore in one worker's home and in his car, and despite the fact that he changes his clothes at work, he still has beryllium in his car and he has it in the carpet at home.
4 workers from this plant have died since this plant here in Tucson opened in 1980 from beryllium disease. 25 workers are sick with beryllium disease and 12 more may be sick from the disease, have tested positive for the disease.
I worked there in 1982 for 6 months. And I worked in the dirtiest part of the plant. That's why I got sick so fast. Happiest people they could for $5 an hour. You know, whoever. I was 19, 20 years old, fresh, newly married. My wife got a job there and we thought, hey, we're living high on the hog. You know, we're just making $5.50 an hour with overtime, you know. No, we didn't know what it was, and I've been going to a doctor quite a bit. I've been diagnosed with numerous different things. sarcoidosis is one of the things that's similar to berylliosis that you get diagnosed with. And it just so happened at that time, Brush Wellman mailed letters out saying, if you've been diagnosed with sarcoidosis and if you worked at our plant, get this test because we think you might have berylliosis. And that was the first I heard of it. And it was years after I quit, whoever thought of combining the two. So, at first I thought, who to blame for the sarcoidosis? Where did I get it? God, what happened? Was it something you know what I mean? And then when I found out it was from Brush Wellman, working there for $5 an hour 10 years ago, and I'm dying from this, you can only imagine the rampant thoughts. Because at that time I was really, really sick, and on a lot of they put me on a lot of medications. And what happens especially is with the prednisone, it does weird things to your mind, and it becomes very suicidal. I don't work because once I start breathing hard, I can't breathe. Especially in dusty, the heat especially, it really gets to your lungs. So I stay home and I Mr. Mom. We filed bankruptcy, we've lost our cars, we've almost lost our home because of Brush Wellman. And Brush Wellman will not in one way, shape, or form help us financially. That's the plant you have in the Sunnyside area right there. That sums it up right there. We don't care if you live or die.
I was a press operator. We pressed the beryllium, and then after that it got cooked and stuff. And then the women mostly on the presses, different women, small presses, large presses and stuff. It was a contained area. It was supposed to have the double doors. It had the double doors, and then they removed those. But there was different presses, different size presses and stuff. Mostly women. Yeah, mostly women. We handled it with our bare hands. You can't really use gloves or anything because the stuff is real soft when it's, well, not soft, but it's pressed like a press powder. It's pressed though, and if you would, you can break it. You can break it off, and sometimes we'd have to break it off. But we had a little vacuum system, a little tiny vacuum, and I'd constantly clean my hands, and I'd be careful not to put it on my face. And it was scary, but for a time in the beginning, it didn't bother me. But then you started hearing stuff, and I said, well, I better be careful. Sometimes I'd wear the respirator, but people would laugh. We knew when we needed to clean up the place because we knew that OSHA was coming the next day. And I was kind of like, I don't think we're supposed to know. I think we're supposed to be surprised. Any other company would, just you walk in, but I guess, I don't know. I have no idea about how we knew, I don't know. But we were told we need to clean, we'd stop production completely. Clean up the place, every corner, vacuum, mop, everything, machines, everything. I mean, it was super clean, when they came to visit. I do have it. I have it, but it's contained. For some reason, it's not growing, I guess, as fast as other people. I think that they took a DNA or something or the other. And this last time when I went to the Keno Hospital to have it tested, I think that's it. Aches and pains and stuff like that. That's about it. And I won't know until I know what's going on with the results. But I know I have it. I know I have it, but it's settled somewhere in the bottom of your lungs because the way it was explained to me.
The Tucson plant just got cited for hooking up their clothes dryers to vents that vent out, which means that they're washing contaminated uniforms and drying them, and the air is being blown to the outside. And this isn't uncommon. And the company admitted, yeah, we knew that we were doing this. The reason we didn't have it set up the way we were supposed to was because a pilot light wasn't working, and so we chose to do it a different way and chose not to notify anybody that we would be blowing this stuff outside. And this is common. Brush Wellman has a long history of doing these types of things.
Remember, 1/10 of a millionth of a gram is all it takes to give you beryllium disease. And people in the community could have beryllium disease. We don't know. There's been no testing of people in the community. If you have emphysema, if you have another lung disease called sarcoidosis, the symptoms are very similar to beryllium disease. So maybe people are getting misdiagnosed. We don't know. There's been no testing.
We have 5 schools that are in real close proximity, so close that you can see the smokestacks of the plant from these 5 schools. One is a high school, Sunnyside High School, then we have Sierra Middle School, but within that 5-mile radius we have the majority of our elementary schools. We have probably about, we have over 10 elementary schools, quite a few other middle schools and high schools that are located in the area.
Brush Wellman has given some contributions to the school district, which has helped pay for the track team, which means that not only are they running around the track breathing contaminated air, but Brush Wellman has their logo on their jerseys.
We asked for air monitoring of the Brush Wellman plant in the surrounding area, and it looks like that may happen, but Brush Wellman is not footing the bill.
I think it's unfortunate that Sunnyside has to expend money that they desperately need to educate their kids, to pay their teachers, in order to assure the health and safety. I think that's an obligation of both Brush Wellman. They are the people emitting, and they are the people that should be more concerned about the regulatory issue.
Economic development is more interested in bringing in these facilities and making money than it is in protecting the communities. And we've got to make sure that facilities such as this do not come into our communities anymore. There has to be a mechanism to investigate what we're bringing into Tucson.
One of the things that Brush Wellman does, which I think is actually a place for their future, is they're now making tungsten copper material, which is not toxic, and it's used in a lot of high-tech industries and that sort of thing. If they can move their operations away from beryllium and into other things, well, sure, I think that's a great idea.
It's not too late for this community to really be watchful in terms of the kinds of permitted uses that we're allowing in this area. I venture to say that the Catalina foothills would never tolerate this kind of heavy concentration of hazardous permitted uses. I'm pretty sure the northwest side would not tolerate it. I'm pretty sure, and I think they're in this area got concentrated historically because of the perception that this area was not politically strong enough to resist. And I think that's changed completely now.
Our children need to live healthy lives. Parents shouldn't have to worry about what their children are drinking or what they're breathing. They should be just as safe in the South Side as they are anywhere else in Tucson. We demand that our children are protected, that our people are protected.